Have you ever felt like life has become a series of predictable routines, leaving you wondering if it's too late to rediscover the spark of joy and purpose? Paulo, a man once resigned to a life of monotony, proves that transformation is always possible, even when it feels like time is against you. In this video, we'll uncover the small, profound changes that reignited Paulo's zest for life, reshaped his mindset, and inspired an entire community to embrace renewal through his story. You'll discover the power of small habits to spark massive change, how to overcome limiting beliefs and take your first steps toward a better life, the importance of connection, mindfulness, and self-care at any age, real-life lessons on how to create a legacy that extends beyond yourself. Stay with us until the end, because Paulo's journey isn't just a story, it's a guide to transforming your own life. Whether you're seeking inspiration, clarity, or simply a reason to believe in new beginnings, this video will leave you with actionable insights and hope for what's possible. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, yet I encourage you to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on today's topic. If you enjoy the content, please comment 1 below. If it doesn't resonate with you, leave a 0. Your feedback is crucial as it helps me create better videos that align with your interests. Now let's get started. Paulo lived a life shrouded in monotony, devoid of the thrill and vibrancy he once dreamed of. His existence had become a series of predictable days marked by the quiet hum of loneliness and an unspoken resignation to the passage of time. Widowed for over a decade, he had retreated into a cocoon of routine where each day began with a steaming cup of strong coffee and a slice of buttered bread, only to end slouched in front of the flickering glow of his television. The aches that rippled through his body, the constant fatigue that dulled his spirit, and the lingering sense of emptiness seemed to him the unavoidable toll of growing old. Life, he thought, had nothing more to offer. But life has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. One unassuming afternoon, as Paulo ambled through the park, with his usual heavy steps, he crossed paths with Clara. She was running, her every movement brimming with an effortless grace that seemed to defy the world's weight. Her radiant smile was like a burst of sunlight piercing through his overcast days, her laughter carrying the kind of warmth he hadn't felt in years. When their eyes met, Paulo felt something stir within, a faint spark in a heart long dimmed. Clara slowed her pace and stopped to chat, her energy almost magnetic. "Have you ever noticed," she said, her voice as vibrant as her demeanor, "how small habits can completely transform how we feel? I truly believe it's never too late to start over." Her words struck a deep chord, echoing through Paulo's mind like a long-forgotten melody. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, someone truly saw him. Not the tired, aging man he believed himself to be, but a soul capable of change. Sensing his curiosity, Claire invited him for coffee, a gesture so simple yet profound in it. Kindness over steaming cups, they delved into their lives. Clara listened intently as Paulo recounted his days of routine, marked by discouragement and inertia. He spoke of his sedentary habits and uninspired diet, his voice tinged with self-deprecation. Clara, however, smiled knowingly. "All of that can change, Paulo," she said, her eyes alight with conviction. "You just need to take the first step." That brief encounter became the catalyst for a profound awakening. Paulo couldn't shake the memory of Clara's words, her belief in the transformative power of small changes. It was as if she had handed him a key to a door he hadn't known existed, a door that led to hope, vitality, and a new beginning. Yet the prospect of change felt like an insurmountable mountain. He had spent so many years entrenched in his ways, convinced that time had stripped him of his best opportunity. Unity, still deep within, a quiet voice urged him to try, determined to honor that spark. Paulo decided to start small. He remembered Clara's gentle suggestion: "Change begins with what you put into your body." The next morning, he replaced his beloved white bread and butter with a bowl of oatmeal sprinkled with vibrant fruits and crunchy nuts. The simplicity of his old breakfast called to him, but within days he felt an undeniable shift. His energy began to return, a lightness replacing the heaviness that had plagued him for so long. Encouraged by this small victory, Paulo embraced another of Clara's suggestions: morning stretches. "Waking up your body," she had said, "is as vital as feeding your mind." At first, the stretches felt awkward and trivial, his stiff muscles reluctant to cooperate. But soon those gentle movements became a sacred ritual. Each stretch was a gift to his weary body, a quiet moment of care, and Capello's transformation gained momentum. What had started as a reluctant effort to honor Clara's encouragement blossomed into a journey of self-discovery. For the first time in years, he felt alive, alive with possibility, purpose, and the intoxicating realization that life still held wonders to explore. Clara wasn't just an inspiration. She was a reminder that it's never too late to reignite the fire within, to rewrite a story you thought had ended. And Paulo, once resigned to a life of quiet despair, now faced each day with a heart open to change and a spirit ready to soar. What truly astonished Paulo was how Clara could turn the simplest acts into profound lessons on living. One day, as they shared a coffee, she urged him to walk more. How she said with conviction, "Have you ever thought about how something as simple as walking can transform not just your health, but your entire outlook on life?" Her words carried a weight that Paulo couldn't ignore. She invited him to join her for a walk in the park, and what began as a hesitant stroll soon blossomed into something much more a gateway to rediscovering the joy of movement and the beauty of connection. As they walked, the conversation flowed effortlessly, touching on life choices and the resilience of the human spirit. Clara shared insights about how walking wasn't just exercise. It was a way to reconnect with the body and release endorphins, the so-called happiness hormones. Every step, she explained, is a small act of love for yourself, a signal to your body that you're choosing vitality over stagnation. For Paulo, who once regarded walking as a tedious chore, this newfound perspective was transformative. Each step through the park became an awakening. He began to notice the vibrant colors of the leaves, the gentle caress of the wind on his face, and the harmonious symphony of birdsong and rustling branches. With Clara by his side, urging him to take just one more step, Paulo found himself going further, not just through the park's winding paths, but into a realm of possibility he had long abandoned. Still, the road to transformation was not without its obstacles. Paulo's internal battles loomed large, shaped by years of limiting beliefs and the nagging thought that it was too late for change. One day he voiced his fears to Clara. "I think it's too late for me." Her response was firm yet compassionate. "Paulo," she said, gripping his hand, "too late only happens when you decide to stop trying. As long as there's breath in you and a willingness to move forward, it's never too late." Her words echoed in his heart, becoming a mantra that spurred him on during moments of doubt. Determined to honor her faith in him, Paulo began making small but meaningful changes to his routine. He started to grasp that age wasn't the true barrier. His mindset was, the transformation wasn't immediate or dramatic, but with every small adjustment, the rewards accumulated. Clara's suggestions, which once seemed daunting, became opportunities to rediscover joy. Each step, each change felt less like a burden and more like a celebration of life. One of his greatest challenges was tackling his reliance on processed foods. Paulo had long favored convenience over nutrition, relying on canned soups, stuffed breads, and sugary cookies. "I thought these foods were harmless," he admitted sheepishly to Clara. She patiently explained how such products were draining his energy, inflaming his body, and exacerbating the very aches and fatigue he blamed on aging. Rather than overwhelm him with drastic changes, Clara proposed a gentler approach, gradual substitution. Together, they explored the art of preparing simple, wholesome meals. Paulo discovered the satisfaction of crafting vibrant salads with fresh greens, whole grains, and bursts of color from crisp vegetables. Clara showed him how to season grilled chicken with fragrant herbs and whip up natural juices bursting with the sweetness of fresh fruits. To his surprise, Paulo found a new passion in cooking. What once seemed like a chore became an act of self-care and creativity. As his diet transformed, so did his approach to stress. Clara introduced the concept of mindful pauses, urging Paulo to carve out moments of stillness in his day. "Stress can be as damaging as poor nutrition," she reminded him. At first, Paulo felt awkward, pausing his busy mind for a few minutes of deep breathing. But with time, those quiet moments became a sanctuary. easing his tension and clarifying his thoughts. A defining moment in Paulo's journey came during a long overdue visit to the doctor. For years, he had avoided checkups, fearful of uncovering problems he might not want to face. But Clara's gentle insistence prevention is always better than cure gave him the courage to make an appointment. The results were nothing short of remarkable. His doctor, who had once been concerned about high blood pressure and chronic fatigue, marveled at the improvements. Paulo's blood pressure had stabilized. His energy had returned, and the weight of his exhaustion had lifted. The medical validation invigorated Paulo. For the first time in years, he felt the power of his own agency. The realization that his choices were reshaping his body, his mind, and his life, along with improved health, came an unexpected and exhilarating sense of confidence. He no longer saw himself as a man limited by age, but as someone who still had the capacity to dream and achieve. Clara remained his unwavering ally, inspiring him to aim even higher together. They began planning small adventures, weekend trips to nearby towns, hikes through scenic trails, and explorations of places Paulo had long forgotten. He wanted to visit. Each journey was more than just a change of scenery. It was a celebration of his rediscovered zest for life in Clara. Paulo found not only a friend, but a guiding light, a reminder that even the smallest changes can lead to the most extraordinary transformations. Through these changes, Paulo began to understand that caring for himself wasn't selfish. It was a way of honoring his life with time. He realized that each small step he took wasn't just improving his health, but also his outlook on life. He woke up each morning feeling eager to embrace the day, a feeling he thought he had lost forever. Paulo's journey of transformation proved that it's never too late to start over. Every small choice we make today can define how we live tomorrow. Like Paulo, you too can discover that the greatest gift we can give ourselves is the care and respect for our own body and mind. Now it's your turn. What are you willing to change to live with more health, energy, and purpose? The first step may be simple, but it could lead you to places you never imagined. Are you ready to begin? Paulo's story didn't end with his personal transformation. It evolved into something much greater as his health, mindset, and relationships improved. Paulo began to notice how his changes were inspiring others around him. Friends, family, and even strangers started asking him for advice, curious about how he had managed to revitalize his life at an age when many feel it's too late to change. One day, his nephew, a young man struggling with motivation, asked Uncle Paulo, "How do you keep going? How do you stay so positive?" Paulo smiled and said, "The secret isn't in being perfect. It's in showing up for yourself every single day." No matter how small the effort, encouraged by Clara and his growing community of supporters, Paulo decided to host regular meetings in the park where his journey began. These gatherings brought together people of all ages to share stories, learn from one another, and adopt healthier habits. What started as casual walks and conversations soon grew into a community movement. People began bringing their own ideas, recipes, and exercises, creating a space where everyone felt encouraged to improve their lives. Paulo's courage to share his story had a ripple effect. One woman who initially came to the group out of curiosity confided in Paulo, "I've been feeling lost for years, but seeing you take these steps gives me hope that I can do it too." For Paulo, moments like this reinforced his belief that transformation wasn't just about individual growth. It was about creating a chain reaction of positivity. As Paulo's influence grew, he was invited to speak at community events, senior centers, and even local schools. His message was simple but powerful. No matter your age, the smallest changes can lead to extraordinary outcomes. The key is to believe you are worth the effort. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. One of the most memorable invitations came when a local university asked him to share his experience with students studying psychology and wellness. Paulo, standing before a room full of eager faces, said, "We often think aging is a downhill journey, but it's only that way if you let it be. Every moment is an opportunity to redefine yourself." In addition to these events, Pau began journaling regularly, capturing his thoughts, struggles, and victories. Clara suggested that he compile these writings into a book, Your Stories Worth Sharing. With the world, she said, inspired by her encouragement, Paulo began writing a memoir. He hoped it would reach those who felt stuck, showing them that change is possible at any stage of life. As he reflected on his journey, Paulo realized how much he had gained, not just physically but emotionally and spiritually. His relationships deepened, particularly with his children and grandchildren, who admired his renewed zest for life. Paulo even inspired his son, who had been neglecting his own health, to join him on morning walks one day. Paulo and Clara decided to take a leap and plan a trip. They had both dreamed of a hiking tour along a picturesque coastal trail. The trip symbolized more than just adventure. It was a celebration of life and the resilience they had cultivated together, standing on a cliff overlooking the ocean. Paulo turned to Clara and said, "I never thought I'd feel this alive again. Thank you for showing me it was possible." As Paulo continued to embrace life, he realized the true meaning of legacy. It wasn't about material possessions or wealth. It was about the values, lessons, and inspiration we leave behind. Paulo's story became a testament to the fact that transformation isn't bad by age, but by willingness and belief in oneself. Through his journey, Paulo discovered that the greatest gift wasn't just regaining his vitality, it was rediscovering the joy of living, connecting with others, and knowing that his actions could inspire countless others to take their first steps toward change. And now, just as Clara once challenged him, Paulo asks you, what will you do today to start your own transformation? It doesn't matter how small the step, what matters is the direction. The power to change your life is in your hands. Are you ready to take that first step? Paulo's journey of renewal became a lifelong commitment, not just to his own growth, but to the empowerment of others as the weeks turned into months and then years. The impact of his choices rippled further than he ever imagined, building a community of change. The small park gatherings grew into a well-organized community group called Steps of Renewal. It became a space for people of all ages to come together, share their stories, and support each other in their journeys. Paulo and Clara, who co-led the group, developed programs that focused on mindfulness, nutrition, physical activity, and emotional well-being. The group wasn't limited to just local residents. As word spread, visitors from neighboring towns came to participate. Families brought their elderly parents, younger individuals sought wisdom and inspiration, and couples looked for ways to improve their lifestyles together. What started as a few walks in the park had transformed into a movement that emphasized the power of community and personal growth. The book that changed lives, Paulo's memoir titled Never Too Late to Begin Again, was published a year after he started writing it. The book chronicled his transformation and offered practical advice, reflections, and encouragement for readers. Its simplicity and authenticity resonated with people across all walks of life. The memoir became a bestseller in its category, and Paulo was invited to participate in book fairs, wellness conventions, and even online forums where readers shared how his story had inspired their own changes. For Paulo, this wasn't about fame, it was about reaching people who needed hope and practical tools to reclaim their lives, a life of purpose. By now, Paulo had become a living example of what it means to age with purpose and by vitality. His mornings were filled with mindful practices, stretching, meditation, and walks. His afternoons were dedicated to community work, whether that meant organizing park events, mentoring others, or sharing meals with those who needed company. But perhaps the most fulfilling part of his new life was the deep connection he had built with his family. His children, once worried about their father's declining energy and health, now marveled at his transformation. His grandchildren, who once saw him as a tired and distant figure, now saw him as a role model. One of his granddaughters, inspired by his story, wrote a school essay titled, "My Grandfather, My Hero." When Paulo read it, tears welled up in his eyes. He realized that his journey wasn't just about his own life. It was shaping the way his family and future generations viewed aging, resilience, and the value of self-care, a love that grew through it all. Clara remained his steadfast companion. Their relationship, built on mutual respect and inspiration, blossomed into something deeper. Paulo, who had once thought his days of love and partnership were behind him, found himself opening his heart again one evening. As they watched the sunset together, Clara said, "How do you realize how far you've come? You've become someone who inspires me every single day." Paulo smiled and replied, "That's because you showed me it was possible. You gave me the courage to believe in myself again." Their bond became a testament to the idea that love, like leaf nurtured with care, respect and shared dreams, facing challenges with strength. Of course, Paulo's journey wasn't without challenges. There were days when doubts crept back in, when old habits threatened to resurface, or when physical aches reminded him of his age. But each time he leaned on the lessons he had learned, the importance of persistence, the power of a supportive community, and the value of self-compassion. He often shared this with others. It's not about never facing setbacks, it's about how you respond to them every step forward. No matter how small his progress, a legacy of hope in his later years, Pao dedicated himself to creating resources for those who couldn't attend his gatherings or read his book. He collaborated with local organizations to create free wellness workshops, wrote articles for senior magazines, and even started a video series where he shared simple tips for living a vibrant life. One of his final projects was establishing a scholarship fund for young people studying nutrition and wellness. If I can help the next generation understand the importance of caring for themselves and others, then I've done my part. He said the final reflection as Paulo grew older. He often reflected on his journey sitting by the window one evening, looking out at the park where it all began. He felt a deep sense of gratitude. He thought about the quiet, uninspired life he once led and how it had transformed into a story of purpose, connection, and joy. He realized that his greatest achievement wasn't in the changes he made, but in the lives he touched along the way. Every person who joined the community, read his book, or simply shared a conversation with him had become part of his legacy in his final years. Paulo lived with a profound sense of fulfillment. Knowing he had embraced life to its fullest, his message remained clear. It's never too late to begin again. The best days of your life may still be ahead, waiting for you to take that first step. And so Paulo's story became not just his own, but a universal reminder that every day is an opportunity to grow, to connect, and to live with purpose. What will your story be? The journey starts with just one step, passing the torch. As Paulo's journey neared its natural conclusion, he began focusing on ensuring the community and values he had nurtured would live on. He saw the potential in others to carry forward the mission of transformation and renewal. His gatherings in the park had grown into a movement that people from all walks of life joined, and Paulo wanted to empower them to take ownership. He started mentoring key members of the group, sharing his knowledge, experiences, and ideas. Clara, always by his side, played a pivotal role in helping others find their voice together. They organized leadership workshops, teaching participants how to inspire and support one another. Paulo's mantra for the group was simple: be the change you want to see, and others will follow. He emphasized that the movement was not about him. It was about the collective power of individuals who chose to live with purpose and share their growth with others, a gift to future generations. As Paulo reflected on the legacy he wanted to leave, he decided to create something lasting, a guidebook called Steps of Renewal, a handbook for living with purpose. At any age, the book was a compilation of practical advice, inspirational stories from the community, and actionable steps to help people of all ages. Embrace change. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. The guidebook became a beacon of hope, a tool for transformation that Paulo distributed freely through local libraries, community centers, and online platforms. His goal was simple yet profound: to reach those who felt trapped by routine, uninspired, or lost, and offer them a gentle nudge toward change. Paulo believed deeply that the right words at the right time could spark a fire in even the weariest of hearts, and his guidebook was crafted with that vision in mind. One of the most touching moments in this new chapter of Paulo's life came from an unexpected source: his 10-year-old great-grandson. The boy, curious about the book that everyone seemed to talk about, asked if he could read it. Sitting beside his great-grandfather, he turned the pages with wide-eyed wonder. When he finished, he looked up, his voice soft yet brimming with admiration. "Grandpa," he said, "when I grow up, I want to be like you." In that moment, Paulo's heart swelled with a joy so deep it brought tears to his eyes. It was a powerful reminder that even the smallest actions could ripple through generations, planting seeds of inspiration and hope. Embracing the final chapters, as Paulo entered his later years, his body began to slow, but his spirit remained as vibrant as ever. He had learned to measure his life, not by the number of years lived, but by the quality of moments embraced surrounded by his family friends, and the ever-loyal Clara Paolo found immense joy in the simple pleasures of life. Shared meals, heartfelt conversations, and the occasional walk in the park that had become his sanctuary. One evening, as he and Clara sat watching the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Paolo reflected on his journey. Life isn't about how many breaths we take, he said, his voice warm and steady. It's about the moments that take our breath away, the ones we choose to truly embrace. I wouldn't trade this journey for anything. Clara, her eyes glistening with tears of love and pride, responded softly. You've shown us all that it's never too late to live with purpose. Pooh, you've given us the greatest gift, a reminder that life is meant to be lived fully. No matter where we are in our story, a celebration of life. When Paolo eventually passed away, he left the world as he had learned to live it peacefully, surrounded by love and gratitude. His memorial was not a somber affair, but a joyous celebration of a life transformed and the many lives he had touched along the way. Friends, family, and members of the community gathered to honor a man whose journey had become a symbol of hope and resilience. Story after story was shared, each one illustrating Paolo's quiet yet profound impact, from his park walks and candid conversations to the guidebook that had become a lifeline for so many. Paolo's influence had created a ripple effect that spanned far beyond what he could have imagined. Clara, who had been his steadfast companion through it all, stood to speak. Her voice was steady, but her words carried the weight of a lifetime of love and admiration. Paolo's legacy, she said, her eyes scanning the crowd, isn't just in the life he lived, it's in the lives he transformed. He taught us that every day is a chance to start anew, and for that we are eternally grateful. A legacy that lives on in the years following Paolo's passing. His vision continued to thrive. The community he had inspired grew stronger, his guidebook finding its way to readers around the globe as it was translated into multiple languages. Clara, along with the leaders Paolo had mentored, carried on his mission, ensuring that his dream endured. In the park where Paolo had first met Clara, a tree was planted in his honor. Beneath its branches, a plaque was installed inscribed with words that captured the essence of his journey in loving memory of Paolo, a man who showed us that every step forward, no matter how small, has the power to transform a life. May his journey inspire us all to begin again. The tree became a place of reflection and inspiration for the community, its roots a living symbol of Paolo's enduring legacy. Strangers and loved ones alike would visit, some leaving flowers, others sitting quietly beneath its shade to draw strength from the story of a man who had shown the world that it's never too late to start over. The journey begins with you. As Paolo's legacy lived on, it became a rallying cry for countless individuals who read his story and found within it the courage to take their own first steps. His life, though finite, had illuminated an infinite truth that every moment holds the potential for growth, that purpose and connection are always within reach, and that love, when nurtured, has the power to transcend time. Now, as you reflect on Paolo's journey, ask yourself, what small step can you take today to begin your own transformation? Let his story be your invitation to embrace change, rediscover purpose, and live fully. The journey starts now. Now that you've journeyed through Paolo's inspiring story, what resonated most with you? What is one thing you've learned that you're ready to put into practice in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear how Paolo's transformation inspires your next step. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Together, we can continue exploring stories and lessons that remind us all it's never too late to begin again. Thank you for watching, and we can't wait to see you in our next video, Glowing Star.